All right. Thank you. You call the meeting to order, Kyle?
Yes, I did.
All right, let's go ahead and, man, we've got a packed house. I love this. So let's go ahead and go around the room and do some introductions, because I have quite a few youth council here. We have a new member here, Gregory. So let's start here. Go ahead and name, school, grade.
My name is Estrella. I go to Clover Park High School and I'm in the 11th grade.
Thank you, Mr. Ian. Councilman Branstad.
Yeah, Mike Grandstetter, I'm the council member who's the fly on the wall for this meeting.
My name is Jackie. I go to Clover Park High School and then. My name is Rufaro. I go to Bellevue.
I'm Gregory Meggs, and actually I'm a school bed at Green State College.
My name is Kyle Franklin, I'm 41 years old.
Oh, my, oh, we're not going.
My name is Ivy. I go to Southern High School and I'm in 10th. Lauren Moss. I live in Liquid House since it's like 5. It's been a long time.
Mike Lockley, I've been on this board since it was created.
My name is Leslie. I go to Clover Park High School.
My name's Shannon Bennett. I'm Human Services Coordinator and I graduated high school in 1986.
My name is Natalie. I go to Clover Park High School and I'm in the 10th grade.
Shelby.
Hi, is it just my name on the screen? Can you not see me?
No, we can't. Here, you know what I'm gonna do is I am going to make you, let's see, oh, good, we've got, oh yay, Darren got in. On the top, there we go. I'm gonna make both of you. Let's see. Promote to panelists. So I'm gonna promote you to panelists so that you guys can see. All right. You guys got the panel? Cool. All right. All right, there's Shelby.
Hello, I'm Shelby Taylor.
All right, Darren.
Can you see me?
No, I promoted you to panelist, so let's see. Yeah, you should be able to turn on your. Okay, well, go ahead and introduce yourself. No, we can't see you, Darren. There you
There
are.
you are.
All right.
What's your name, Darren?
My name is Darren.
Darren Laurie, folks.
I've been on the board for about a year now, I think, Shannon, and normally I attend through my phone or in person, but this time I wanted to actually be official and do it through this.
Freezing up.
I'm freezing up.
You look good on my
You're
end.
okay. You're okay.
Okay.
All right, and we do have a guest here today, sir. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Charles Ames. Yeah, I'm up in the Springbrook neighborhood. I don't know if that's material. I'm here to see what the Community Service Advisory Board does and if help is required, because used to be very active, and I think it's time maybe to start making a difference in the community again. Hopefully positive.
All right, well, thank you, Charles.
And Shannon.
How did you hear Denise?
Somebody.
I love it. All right. Can you introduce yourself? Yes.
Hi,
please.
I'm Denise Poultry. I've been on the board for 2 years. Former youth council member back in the day, way back.
She's OG. She was part of the first youth council. Brought on by Dr. Claudia Thomas. Love it. All right, okay, done with introduction.
Cool. So do we have any public comments?
Okay. Did everyone have a chance to review the meeting minutes from June 18th?
You do have, copies right there in front of you. And did I not?
I move that-
Oh, second,
I mean, I move with the closure button.
move to approve.
And anyone second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? It's passed. So new business, we'd like to welcome new community service advisory board members and our councilors.
Welcome. Does anybody want to give any more information about themselves that was already included in their introductions? I just want to say how much I very much appreciate so many of our youth council members showing up, your liaisons. So I'm excited to get to this process so that you guys can hopefully do a little learning about how we in the public sector spend some tax dollars. Okay? All right.
Well, I'd just like to say we have valued your voices over the last several years, so I'm glad to see new faces and get new voices as well. So welcome. And so then we'll move right into our new business, the next item, which is discussing the human services application.
So I would normally love to do this all on my computer, however, couldn't figure out the AV in here. So what I'd like for us to do, hopefully everybody got my directions to bring your applications in with you. If we could go down the list, I have Darren's, but I'd like to write them down and come up with an average, because I think it's gonna be very important to bleed them into our, as you can see on the page here with all the blue on it, our scoring scale. We received a lot of applications, and like I said, we have an ask of $850,000. Many of those went above our $25,000. So if I were to back that, each of those asks down to a maximum of 25, it still puts us at $694,750 that the agencies who applied are asking for. And we have about $475,000 to spend. So I think it's gonna be important tonight to write down our scores, find an average score, and then move straight on down to how we want to rate, how we want to fund them. And you can see that on the blue sheet, I also said, so here's the scale we use for 23-24, just as reference. So if we could start. Yes. Rafara, will you pass that down to that it's underneath the both of those? Yeah, go ahead. Oh, is the blue one not?
Let me just ask a question in terms of
We can share.
discussions tonight and scores, but there is still the potential for those things to be modified based on the fact that there are interviews scheduled in the future.
Correct.
So we're,
But I'm sorry.
so it's one of the things is that the score that you had by just reading the application can be temporized by what you hear when we interview the applicants, or even with our discussions tonight, because we have some folks who didn't do scoring.
Well, the youth council didn't do.
Yeah, but we're looking to be able to get their input
Of course.
at the time, and that may influence the scoring of some of the rest of it.
So I will let the board decide, do we want to do our average scores tonight? Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I am missing about 10 of the applications.
Oh, okay, I
It
sent
sounds like
three
Nicole is also.
emails, and then the last one I sent, which was last week, had a list that had all of them.
This was right.
Mhm.
And then for some of two applications from the same applicant.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I was, I was noting some duplicates.
So there,
And
which
this is a
ones?
duplicate. For example, Tacoma Pro Bono, the first sections aren't completed, so I
Right.
have at least 4 of them.
So Tacoma Pro Bono they're very similar programs, but separate.
In both
So the-
applications, the top portion are big. Like the
Really?
budget amount, how many they serve, on mine it was. So I don't know if it was maybe a Wi-Fi.
I could see it on mine.
And I sent it to Darren and I just forwarded to Darren the same ones I sent out, so
Okay.
that's kind of weird.
She's
And
fine.
he was able to distinguish between the two and give me scores.
Well, my issue is clearly an oversight, so I will apologize for that, but, so I think some discussion is
yeah,
good.
okay,
Especially hearing from our youth,
okay,
but.
yeah, so we'll pivot on that.
We need another meeting with everybody, that's all that big point, that's all we're saying.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm thinking, and again, that's my.
okay, so how about,
If we're gonna do that, maybe you wanna put my name on it.
I think it's not on there, oh my God, I'm sorry. Yours is a tiebreaker. So so what I'm hearing is, yes, we will have to have another meeting. Now, we do have our, interviews scheduled for October 8th and 9th. Sorry, I don't mean to sit in your way. So let's discuss and then we have one more meet before we go in, regular meeting, before we go in to present to council on November 12th. So what we can do at that meeting.
Well, I guess here's, am I the only one who missed that handful of applications?
I
Yeah.
only reviewed the 15 I found, so. If that number is different than what is existing, I also. Missed them. I
Okay,
guess.
okay, Lori,
Did not see those.
I got all of them.
Lori, you got all of them. Okay, this is really weird, because you were copying them. Okay, so what we'll do is I will, if everybody could do me a favor, if you could, send me an email. With the applications that you've missed, I will send out. Them to you individually in an email.
Then maybe what we can do is at least discuss the ones that we all have scored
Sure.
for tonight.
Okay,
Does that make sense, so that we're not
Sure.
wasting time tonight?
Yeah, I think that's great. And then, Shannon, I will email you all the ones that I filled out too, just so you have a record of it.
okay, that would be, so, you froze up a little bit, Shelby, so you're gonna send to me. Your sheets that you scored?
Yes, I have
Okay.
them. I will email them.
Okay, then do you wanna go over some of the ones tonight?
Like I said, I
Or
think
just
it
do it all
would
at
be,
once?
well, I guess that I'll leave it, I'll ask that question to the committee. Does it make sense to go over the ones that we have to make use of this time?
Okay.
Okay, so what I was gonna suggest is that we go ahead and fill this out at home and drop it off at her desk.
I like that idea, but you want, okay, so that we've got one for just waiting a little bit.
Oh, Smarty Pants got hers done.
You get a gold star,
I
thank
did.
you.
So Shannon,
Yes,
as you know, you and I have been emailing. Can you guys hear me?
yes,
We've been emailing back and forth quite a bit, trying to figure out a format to send you these. I counted a total of 29 unduplicated applications. The Tacoma Pro Bono, their applications for both, they did one for one area and one for another area. Both applications, very similar language in both applications, in my personal opinion anyway. But that's why they look like duplicates for the Tacoma Pro Bono. I did see one that looked like it was Tacoma Rescue Mission. It was 2 applications as well. Looked like they're 2 separate applications, but I sorted that out and it's only one from them.
Yeah,
So it should be
that was
tot-
the duplicate I was finding as well, the Tacoma Rescue.
So there
Okay.
should be a total of 29 applications. Do you agree, Shannon?
yes.
So if you don't have 29 filled out, then you're missing some for sure.
So how about, So we've got kind of couple here, couple there, as far as continuing to discuss some of the applicants tonight or holding off. Getting through our interviews, and then I recommend that our meeting in October, we bump it from 1 hour to 2 hours. So that we have time to really develop this out, and also, those, interviews are gonna be extremely brief. Because we have 29 apps, but 22 applicants, so I've put them over 2 nights, where I'm giving them, like y'all saw, a 14-minute period. 2 minutes to give us our elevator speech, and then, I'd like to go in with very succinct questions and try and identify before then, duplicate questions, and it sounds like we're gonna need to do that at a later date. What I'd like to do there as well is if everybody can, in addition to emailing me your ratings sheet, because I do need those to keep on file, in your email, give me specific questions for each of the applicants. And then I will look at what are duplicate, and then we will be prepared to, and I'll disperse them out to everybody, and then we'll be prepared to do the interviews.
I guess that I would say, when I look at the interview schedule, that, the 14-minute windows for an application, but that if you have an entity that has 4 applications and they only still get 1, another applicant has 1 application and they get 14 minutes, it's technically perhaps unfair to both of them, because the one who only has 1 application gets interrogated more, if I could use that term. Whereas some of the applications were, well, although it's the same applicant, the programs are distinctly different. Okay, and so it's almost like there should be an interview window for each application.
Well, this this applicant that has 4 applications in would take out 25% of the available funds. And they have submitted applications in the past. They've combined it into one. And my personal opinion is they're taking advantage of the system. They're trying to game us.
Because, well, part of that is that we have been clear that we are looking at a cap of 25,000. At least going into the discussions on applications, so some folks made multiple applications that are similar, but perhaps have separation of location or just substantive. You're right, there is some of that, but on the other hand, I guess the question is do we want to ask them to confine their application into one? Or do we want to go forward with looking at 4 applications, and then after we've done some work, ask them to? Because part of the problem is if you're not clear that, and let's say that you've got an application with 2, okay, and so we fund them at the level of 25,000. That what happens is when you write a contract for them, you've got to write the contract for the application that was approved by this body.
Yes.
So they can't spread their money across the breadth of their intended services. And even though that may be their intent, but they were just hoping to get more money by dividing it up.
Well, the problem I have is.
But it's probably something you should decide going in rather than after the fact to do that. Because you don't want to risk treating one multiple application organization differently than another.
First point is going back to having them submit one app, are we talking about future funding rounds? Because this one's closed, so I can't go back to communities and schools and say, can you issue one application? Because then I'd have.
Well, I
to
guess
open-
you could discuss that. You could ask them to prioritize therefore.
The issue that I have is their writer does excellent work. I rated all 4 of those applications very high. Because they deserve it. It's well, you know, they checked every block. And so the way that we've funded in the past is if you rate in the top, 5% of the rates, you get fully funded and whatever. And so it ends up that, in my opinion, they get more.
My concern is that takes away money from other.
Right,
organizations
that's.
And
that's the point.
leaves,
Right.
Right.
In case, for the new people, that's how we've rated in the past is, we would, the top, say 10% number wise would be fully funded. And the next, 25% funded wise to get a certain percentage of whatever they ask. And we have been able in the past to fund everybody something,
yeah,
unless somebody violated the rules. That's obviously not to be the case this time unless we want to deal with pennies and quarters and stuff. All right, I'm done.
Shelby, you,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like if we want to limit it to just one application, that's something we do next year because these people have already, taken the time and put the thought into having it be separate programs. So I feel like I don't know about giving them like, whatever 15 times 4 is for like separate interviews and maybe like treat it as like they are one entity. But in terms of like rating them, seeing that they're separate, I don't know. It's tricky because they've already applied, like they've already done it.
yeah,
Shannon,
Yes.
what if we, because they did score very high, what if we put all 4 programs at the lower tier level that still divides that 25,000, or maybe we give them 10,000 for all 4 programs to still support them, but 25 out of the greater scheme of things, it's a lot.
it's $100,000 from our $475,000. The problem we have there is if we set our scoring, like we did last funding round for 23-24. We said, and we determined this after looking at the number of applications we had and the monies and how could we make the biggest impact? And so we said 42 through 46 was $25,000 right off the top. And then after that, it was 41 to 37, get 22,500. And then 33 to 36, get 15,000. Anything below 33, we did not fund.
But we have the capability of changing those numbers, right?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
We could say, we would love to fund everybody at 25,000, but the reality is that X number now have to split this percentage, if that makes sense. So realistically, we could say, change the scoring and maybe make the cutoff higher, which ends up cutting out a number of great applications.
Yeah.
But then to say, for the top tier, whatever it is, we're only going to be able to do 20,000, or we're only going to be able to do, whatever that amount ends up being. We do have a lot of flexibility, because as I recall, one of the reasons that we structured it that way was because we wanted to figure out how to benefit the most possible.
Yeah.
And so we created that structure.
Yep. Yeah.
In our last rating.
Well, this discussion kind of stresses me out a little bit, but I'm glad we're having this discussion before we get into looking at numbers, because we have to figure out how to do this. Because I agree with you. Community schools is an incredible program. Having been a school administrator and worked with some of those people. It's amazing. However, then I look at the fact that, it could be, if we funded the entire thing, could be a quarter of this budget that we have. So we have to figure out a way to do this, that we all can agree on, or at least, live with. So I don't have an answer, but I do think that, it's up to us to figure this out. We make the recommendations to the council, and then, of course, they can change the recommendations, but we have to make some intelligent recommendations to them. So that's my opinion on that. It stresses me out, but I'm glad we're having a discussion now.
I think our next step, I mean, obviously, well, can we make that decision now without seeing the scores and how many people are gonna be negatively impacted? I'm not comfortable with that. I don't think we're kind of working from a fair, we don't have all our information in front of us to do that. Anybody else have? So I think,
We can't, Shannon, I don't think we can really share scores tonight if everyone hasn't had the opportunity to score, because then,
right,
anyone that hasn't scored an application would potentially be, their scoring might be changed by the group. So I think that part of the strength of our committee is that each one of us rates these applications, and so
yeah,
it's important for us to rate them without being influenced by the other individuals on the committee. Wouldn't you agree?
100%.
That said, we could still discuss the ones that all of us have.
Yeah,
scored.
there are a number of them, most of them, over half, Kyle and I both have
Yeah,
rated.
and because those numbers are not gonna change based on.
Right.
If we were to, so one of the ones that I did not get was Asia Pacific Cultural Center. If we were to talk about that, that could influence how I score.
I see.
But, having scored a certain number of them, we could at least discuss some of those. Does that make sense? Is that,
Yeah,
again, that's.
I agree.
okay, yeah. So let's do this. All right, Kyle, can you give me the numbers and the agency?
Or why don't we go through the list, and basically if you did not have a chance to score that one, then we just move on. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah,
So number one, Asia Pacific Cultural Center, 1 and 2 did not.
okay,
So, Boys and Girls Clubs. Did anyone not have a chance to score that one? Okay, so we could discuss that. Communities and schools, I got one, but not the others. So I got the elementary one.
I only got that one as well. I only got one.
So we saying we can discuss the elementary one, but maybe we take that one off the table simply because.
Yeah, I agree.
okay,
Just so it's like batched all, and then we can have a holistic conversation about all of them. I agree.
Okay, number 8 is another one that I did not get.
okay,
Number 9 is one that I did not get, 9 and 10. 11 I got, but I have to recuse myself because Greater Lakes is under the.
What?
So that one I think could be discussed if everybody else did it.
I don't have those numbers. I'm sorry. I'm just going through my application sitting in front of me.
Sorry, Greater Lakes Mental Health Care.
But what were the ones before that? You went through a couple of numbers. I didn't catch that. I've actually done them all, I think, so I'm not worried about
You've done them all.
I am
Yeah,
sorting them
you've
out.
done them.
So then sorry, Darren, do we still need to go through and let you know which ones we're skipping?
Yeah, because I got the community schools we're gonna put aside, so I put all 4 of those aside. The next one I had was the community healthcare one.
Correct, we're skipping that.
Okay,
We're skipping both from Emergency Food Network.
okay,
So you can discuss Greater Lakes Mental Health Care because I need to recuse myself. I did not get LASA.
Either one.
Either one.
Those were all in the first email. Can everybody do me a favor, though? Can you look back in your emails for me? The first email included all of the ones you just said you didn't receive. I mean, you don't have to do it right now. Okay, sorry, go
Well-
forward.
And then the only other two that I am missing are Tillicum Community Center.
Which Darren, you'll have to recuse yourself on those.
Yep.
Do I also recuse myself? On Tillicum?
Are you on the board or anything? No.
Okay, and then with Tacoma Pro Bono, I have both applications, top section was blank where it had the budget amounts. And so now that I'm connected to different Wi-Fi, I'm gonna go through
Okay,
and just find that portion for question 1 and 2.
okay. Interesting.
And
Okay, so you also have not seen all of them. Okay,
So
so
we're
we'll skip those two.
skipping Tacoma Pro Bono, so we're skipping Asia Pacific Cultural Center both.
Yep.
We're skipping communities and schools, McKinney-Vento High School and Middle School.
Yep,
We're skipping community healthcare.
Yep.
Emergency, food network, both co-op and home delivery. You're recusing yourself from Greater Lakes, but we can discuss that one.
correct.
We're skipping LASA, both of
Correct.
them. We are skipping and Tacoma Pro Bono and Tilcom Community Center.
Correct.
So we can discuss, just for my own edification, Boys and Girls Club, Communities and Schools Elementary, Lindquest Dental, Making a Difference, Nourish, Oasis, Pierce County Project Access, Rebuilding Hope, Rebuilding Together, Safe Streets, St. Leo's, STEP, which is supporting the enlisted project, and Teamwork and the Rescue Mission. Okay.
I think we were gonna hold off on doing the communities and schools though, to batch those all together.
Oh, that's right.
All right, so we'll batch those together.
Yeah, because I got the elementary one, but didn't get the rest either. So apparently Kyle and I both missed that first email.
Weird. Okay. All right, well, Kyle, do you want to lead the discussion of, I guess, let's start with Boys and Girls Club. Kyle, can I get your score on
Yes, 39.
39? Shelby,
38.
Denise,
45.
Gregory,
46.
Michael.
35.
Let's move down to Lindquist Dental again, Kyle.
45.
Shannon, you have mine already?
I do, I have yours in here.
Okay.
All right, I'm sorry, Lindquist Dental,
So Shannon,
yeah,
I didn't, that's one that I didn't get Inquest Dental.
Okay, so we need to skip that one tonight.
okay,
And the other one was Pierce County Project. Number 18.
Ding. Okay. Okay, so Boys and Girls Club, now let's go down to, all right, Making a Difference, Kyle,
39.
okay, Shelby,
41.
Denise,
45.
Gregory.
40.
Oh, thanks, Mike. Michael just gave me his. Thank you, Michael. Nourish, Kyle,
Nourish, 37.
Shelby,
Is that the Oasis Youth Center?
no, Nourish, number 16.
Sorry. It's embarrassing. No, I don't have that one.
All
So
right,
it
we're
gets
skipping
done.
Nourish.
Oh,
Let's go down to Away.
you know, I pull, now that you're saying that, I'm pulling it up, and that was one that was completely not tied to it. So like it was like a duplicate of another application,
This is
but-
so weird. Okay,
but
we'll
said Nourish. So I remember seeing Nourish, but I'm like, oh, this is the same exact, I like mirrored them back and forth.
Okay.
So,
let's go to Oasis.
okay, I have Oasis.
Kyle, Oasis,
39.
39. Shelby, Oasis.
39.
Denise,
42.
Gregory.
46.
Sure, that's. Okay, skipping Pierce County, Rebuilding Hope.
Champion.
Yes,
Right, I needed cheat sheet to see straight across, it's 45 for Oasis for me.
45 for Oasis.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, here, Rebuilding Hope,
38.
38. Shelby,
37.
37. Denise,
43.
43. Gregory.
40.
Okay, Rebuilding Together. Kyle,
30.
30. Shelby,
31.
31. Denise,
43.
43. Gregory.
36.
Okay. Safe Streets. Kyle,
35.
Shelby,
36.
Denise,
30.
and Gregory.
35.
St. Leo's, Kyle,
36.
Shelby,
I don't have that one. Next one I have is Step.
Skip this.
35.
Step for 35. Shelby,
31.
Denise,
35.
Gregory.
41.
51. And then we're skipping Tacoma Pro Bono, so let's do Teamwork, Kyle,
32.
okay? Shelby,
34.
Denise,
32.
and Gregory.
36.
Last but not least, the Rescue Mission, Kyle,
36.
okay? Shelby,
33.
Denise,
45.
and Gregory.
40.
All right. Okay. All right. So for discussion's sake, do you want me to get an average score now?
I think it would be helpful if you let people know the range of scores, because there were some where there were range, there was a difference of like 15 points between the highest score and the lowest score.
Okay,
And so that's maybe more important than the average, because the people on either end, they will have something to say to the group that could
I see. what
help
you're saying.
understand
Okay.
either why one thought it was really good and one
Okay,
less so.
that
The
works.
sounds of things, we have some members that are relatively high score. I'm not a high scorer.
No, you're tough.
I'm a tough scorer. so
You're a very.
I'm also Team Top.
Your elementary school teachers pass that information on.
I don't have a 45.
So let's start with Boys and Girls Club. We have the low of 38 and the high of 46, which we're gonna have to do the math. I think it was 46. Okay, high of 46.
Actually, would you be willing to read out all the scores again so that
For Boys and Girls Club?
Yep, and
Yeah, so Boys and Girls Club, we have Darren at 45, Kyle at 39, Lori at 45, Shelby at 38, Denise at 45, and Gregory at 46.
and Michael.
Michael's right here. Oh, Michael's, sorry. Sorry, Michael, I am 35. Okay, Michael's got us at 35. So Boys and Girls Club. Sorry, Michael. I do very much appreciate you. All right, Boys and Girls Club, we have 35 on the low end and 46 on the high end. So we have Michael on the low end and Gregory on the high end. open it up for discussion. Yeah, you know, anybody want to just, you, oh. I thought you were raising your hand.
Well, I'm gonna say something. After reading 29 of these things,
Sure.
they had, I thought, the best outcomes list just for making it clear. I'm not saying what they were saying is the best, but the fact that they spelled it out in detail, I really love that. And then I thought they had the best budget narrative. And it was real broken down. Other people, not so much.
Thank you, Lori. Would anybody else like to comment on?
I just think, I'm familiar with their programs over there and, I've probably had the same school in the past. I'm not really convinced that they're doing the best that they can with what they thought, but,
Okay.
and I must admit, and I was telling Lori about this earlier, when you rate 4 or 5 at a time in one sitting, you're influenced by the one that you previously
Yes.
rated. You know, this is, you know, stronger, this is weaker or whatever. And I found that to be human nature for me. I had a hard time doing a standalone every single time I rated one without thinking about what I had just previously rated. So
Hmm.
there's some influence there, there's no question about it, but I don't think there's enough to change anybody's funding decision, but just a comment.
Anyone else on Boys and Girls Club?
It was well written. I also like that they had multiple outcomes of demographics with percentages versus some other applications that is wrote something. I appreciated the fact that they had ADA accessibility that was different from other programs. Yeah, so I think it was well written.
Do my youth, go ahead, Darren.
I agree with Denise too, because you know, I do a lot of math. I like math and I love the data that they provided. But it's $42 per kid or a client, I guess you want to call it that. And I don't think that's a lot of money to be spending on a kid who is going to be doing something positive rather than running the streets. So I was a participant in Boys and Girls Club when I was a kid, and it kept me out of trouble. I'm not saying that it influenced how I rated the application, but I have no experience with Boys and Girls Club in Lakewood. But like Denise said, I like the data they provided. I thought that they're trying to do positive things with kids, so I like their application a lot. That's why I rated it so high.
Shelby?
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, I am a tough grader, so 38 is actually really good. But yeah, not a 45 clearly. I think for me, I was rated things very strongly for the most part, but then I just felt one of the areas that was lacking for me was kind of that clear need and not putting myself in those shoes of like, okay, like clearly this is a very worthy cause and they're doing great work, but just kind of how they outlined the kind of problem and how they were addressing it. It just, to me, didn't rise to the level of some of the others. And so I think that's why it fell a little bit short for me.
Gregory, do you have anything you want? No, you gave them, okay. I'd like to open it up to our youth council, being that this is a youth focus. If you'd like to, I know you haven't, maybe read the application, but I'd like to get your take on the Boys and Girls Club and what you enjoy. Yes, Rufaro.
I don't have very much personal experience with the Boys and Girls Club, but he's high support needs, autistic, and the Boys and Girls Club was really accessible for him to do a lot of the activities that would typically pay like thousands upon thousands of dollars for in like a caregiving facility. So.
Thank you.
I don't know, what's called, but I heard about it when I was in elementary, I saw like, there's like a lot of kids that joined that. And they just like to spend their time there and.
Same with me. I've never joined Boys or Girls Club, but I remember growing up and it really impacted a lot of people when growing up because many needed support that couldn't be like supported by family members or like they just needed support or like a community where they can feel safe in. Yeah.
Thank you. Feedback?
Well, I've never been in Boys and Girls Club, but growing up, I've like seen that there are many kids that like enjoy being a part of it because they feel like it's something they like to do. Like they feel like it's like an activity they can go after school and enjoy without like staying home or like
No, that's, yeah, no, you're good, you're good, yeah.
and like without like I just think it's like something that a lot of kids enjoy.
Okay.
Without like
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I think I share like the same sentiments with most of the youth council. I've never been a part of it, but I do think that it has a lasting impact from the stories that I've heard. And just people telling me that the other people doing it and felt that it was a really positive impact.
Good, thank you.
Also, another thing, I find that Boys and Girls Club is one of those like third spaces that cost like not very much money to really like exist in. You know, you don't have to like work or you don't have to like pay like a ton of money like to go there. So, yeah, really enjoy it for that reason too.
Thank you. Mike?
I just say that, over a number of years in the Boys and Girls Club, that, it's an organization that is somewhat focused on students that come from neighborhoods on the east side of the city, which tend to be some lower income neighborhoods. But that the Boys and Girls Club is also someone that you listen to people there that students stay engaged there for multiple years. Okay, that's been a pattern with many students, which was something that influenced why we used some ARPA dollars to help them with some things during the pandemic. To be able to go and do that. The other thing is though that they're an organization that has suffers from its location being difficult to get to. It's not really close to any bus lines being able to go and do that. And that has been a challenge for them to draw students from throughout the city.
Okay. I just want to say so our normal end time is 6:30. I'm not sure that we want to hold to that, but I do have youth council members in here who are depending on rides. So if you need to leave at 6:30, please feel free to do that. Otherwise, if you'd like to stay, you're welcome to. Okay, all right, Boys and Girls Club. Let's move on to Greater Lakes Mental Health Care. So, oh no, we can't do that one. Nope, we're skipping, sorry.
Hey Shannon.
Yeah.
Kyle showed me how to get into the, like triple click into the box to be able to see Tacoma Pro Bono, so I have the scores.
Okay. Oh, okay.
If I was the only one that.
No, I think others are missing Tacoma Pro Bono too. Is that what I'm understanding?
I have
Are
them
others-
both.
You have them both. Gregory? They are 24 and 25.
That's what you got.
Yes.
Okay, so, all right, we can score those. Michael, you've given me your scores, so let's start again with Kyle on the crisis stabilization.
I actually got 38 for both.
Okay. Shelby, you want to give me your scores for both, for starting with the crisis stabilization?
That one would be 28, and then the second one, 31.
Denise?
33 for both.
Okay. And Gregory?
First one I got 46 and the second one at 36.
So the crisis stabilization, is that the 46?
Yes.
Okay, and then you said the housing was 36.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I've got Michael's and I've got Lori's and I've got Darren's. Okay. All right, so moving on to who is it that we're not skipping? So we have Boys and Girls Club. We can discuss, cannot do Greater Lakes Mental Health Care. I know Kyle, you're recusing.
I'm
But I think
recusing as
you-
well.
Oh, you're recusing too, huh? Okay,
Yep, it's part of multi-care, so.
gotcha. All right.
They do great work.
Did you have that one? Greater Lakes Mental Health Care?
Do,
That's the one.
or 40 on Greater Lakes.
What did you get, 40?
Mm-hmm.
Gregory, is that one you said you did or did not?
43.
43. All right, so then we're gonna hop down to that one, Greater Lakes Mental Health Care. Let's do the low and the high. 39, let's go over to Michael. 3. Michael. Okay. So we have a low of. 37. And a high of 40. 43. Want to say something about Greater Lake?
Yeah, the program is on the model and I scored them fairly, not my high score, but I should say.
Okay.
They get a lot of help, there's no question about that, there's financial assistance for them for a long time. Well deserved, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just how their application was written.
Okay.
It's gotta check all the boxes.
All right, anyone else on Greater Lakes before we move on? Shelby, any of our online, Darren? Otherwise, we will move on. Okay. Next one.
I attended the Lakewood Police Academy or police station, police officers, police department citizens academy last year. And they talked about Greater Lakes Mental Health being part of their response team. And at the time they didn't have someone doing it. So, but the person that was running it actually talked about what they wanted to do. And it sounded like a really good program for those people who are in crisis, and maybe some of the gun showing up is not the best thing for them. So I thought it was a good program. I didn't rate it as high as I rated some of the others, but I thought that, you know, having heard it from the Lakewood Police Department, that it's a good program. It's worthwhile.
All right, now we're going to move to making a difference. And they have, let's see, you making a difference 42. Michael, you gave me. So low of 38. High of 45. making a difference. Eloise's cooking pot.
Great organization, with great outcomes, serving a large number of people with home delivery. I'm eating
Yeah, yeah, and I'm holding back. I'm not supposed to really sway, but I volunteered for that organization on a Friday on their drive up food distribution. Pretty incredible opportunity and experience. Okay, all right, let's move on then to Oasis Youth Club or Oasis Youth Center. We have 38. Low of 38 and a high of 46. Anybody want to comment on Oasis Youth Center? Yes, Rafaro.
I would like to say that while I've never had to use Oasis myself, a lot of interactions that I've had with the organization has been through their youth council. I think it was like a few months ago, I went as a representative of youth council to the Planned Parenthood panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was able to talk to one of their youth council members and see what they're doing. And honestly, it's amazing work. I've put my friends onto some of those resources and they've honestly been life changing. So, yeah. It's fun.
Anyone else want to comment on Oasis Youth Center?
I'll
Mike.
just make a comment in that. At the Association of Washington Cities Conference, that you end up in discussions around a lot of things in terms of where cities see that they have gaps, be able to serve population that Oasis serves. And, it sort of puts us in a thing of where, well, we have something that's needed, but that everybody sort of acknowledges it's needed, but that in many places they don't have someone to fill that need. And so I think we're fortunate that they operate not just in Pierce County, but actually at times physically here in Lakewood. And I will say they are the only, I think it's Western Washington, or maybe all of Washington, or most of Washington, they are the only service provider of their kind for LGBTQ plus youth. So I believe absolutely that what you said, I mean, not, I think you're a liar, but yeah. I mean, we need more agencies out there like them.
And
Yes,
I scored them fairly high, Shannon, but I also thought that I'm a numbers kind of person, so I do the math, and I can only go by what the application said. It was 25,000 to serve 30 clients, which ends up being $833 per client. And I look at the making a difference one we just talked about, and it ends up being like just under $4 per client. So, as far as where we put our money, I think it's a good program. I just think it's a little bit on the expensive side. I wish they could provide a little more help to more young people. That'd be my only comment on that one.
Thank you.
Presentation at my Rotary Club a few months back, and just their desire to expand their program because they don't have room to serve a lot of the young folks. And then if that person becomes with child, it makes it even more challenging. But I think they're a great organization, and while we can't serve $4, I don't think that we should compare their application to Eloise's application or Making a Difference's application, because it's a totally different demographic. That's my recommendation.
I think one falls in our category of serving youth, and the other one falls in the category of food. And the food things all tend to serve clients at a much lower per client rate than something. For instance, the Lindquist Dental, I would imagine they have a fairly high per client cost. Right, because it's
you know,
donated care,
so,
they're-
so um, uh, it's an important number to look at when you're comparing oranges, but
yeah,
not when you're comparing all of 28.
right. Yeah, no, I appreciate that point, Denise, because Oasis gives wraparound services. These youth get free mental health and insurance and a lot of stuff that maybe they've been kicked out of their house because their families that don't agree with who they are. So Oasis comes in and kind of picks that up or tries to as best they can with the resources to include the staff that they have. So. But I appreciate numbers, definitely, Darren. Okay, do we have any more on Oasis Youth Center? Just opened it up to you, to any of my youth council. Any comments, sir? I don't know if we're supposed to open it up now, but, oh no, public comment before, sorry. Okay, let's go down to Rebuilding Hope. So we have a. Okay, there we go. We have a low of 30. No, I'm sorry, I was reading the wrong one. A low of 37 and a high of 43. Anybody want to comment on Rebuilding Hope? Anyone online? Where'd Darren go? We're missing him. He hung up on himself. No? Okay.
Hey, Shannon, you have to pass this down.
I'm sorry?
I have to step out.
Okay.
At 6:30.
Okay. Ooh, yeah. Okay, thank
And
you.
then I'll email you for till.
Okay, yeah, so, okay, so yeah, tell me a couple things. Email me the ones you don't have, and then also questions.
Okay.
Okay,
You
you gotta go too?
Yeah.
All right, all right. Do you want to take that or?
Take that.
Okay, thank you. Me too. See you on Monday. Or you council meeting. Okay, no,
Meeting on Monday. I did not know that.
Renita's, yeah, it's the first and third Mondays of every month. Youth
But the
council.
next Monday is 5th Mondays.
Oh, my lord. I want to see you next Monday. Take Monday off. All right, sorry. Thank you. Building Hope, any comments? We're good? Okay, let's move down to. Anyway. Thank you. Thank you. Great and lovely. Okay. Where did I put? Ah, here we go. Rebuilding Together, we have a low of 28. And a high of 43. Anybody on Rebuilding Together South Sound? Comments? Okay.
Real quick question, how does this rating system work? I'm a little confused. Is it like from 20 to 50 or? I
So
mean, from 0 to 50 or like from 0 to
0 to
46?
46. Yeah, so this, and I should have, there's a rating sheet that each person was provided. I didn't give it to you, Rafara, but with the application, does anybody have a copy? Thank you.
I've got a spare.
Yay. So that's the rating sheet, that they all have. All right, so let's go down to, and let me know if you have any questions on that, Rafara. All right, so nothing on Rebuilding Together South Sound, no comments? Okay, Safe Streets. Safe Streets. We have.
Safe Streets this is a pilot program, right? They have not.
Yeah, Safe Streets has been operating in Tacoma for a while,
But
but
this
it was
particular
pilot for Lakeway.
Safe Streets operated in Tacoma for the first 10 years of cityhood. And most of that time was when we didn't have a police department, and so we were being served by the sheriff's department. And they were working with the sheriff's department broadly throughout doing it. After a couple of years after our police department was founded, about 18, 20 years ago, that Safe Streets curtailed their activities of organizing community things inside of Lakewood. And some of that was their choice, but some of that was the then leadership in the police department wanted to go a different way with community policing and crime prevention. So they've been inactive in Lakewood for certainly over a decade, being able to go and do that. But they've remained active in other parts of Pierce County to do that. So I think they're like a lot of organizations that the way that their programs have evolved and how they focus, it's kind of like, Safe Streets was active when DARE was a drug abuse program to try to impact the youth, and things have changed. So I don't know much about what they're doing now, other than that they are there, and that communities that have Safe Streets active find that to be helpful. But I don't know if they're filling a void here in Lakewood that we're not already doing through other crime prevention things. And I didn't read that application that closely to try to figure it out.
And that, I think you bring up something that we might want to include, not only in how we are, scoring scale, but do they fill a void? I think that's something, we definitely need to consider when bringing our recommendations and.
Well, we really have, we kind of have that question, whether or not it fills. I think we got an answer someplace.
No, that we
Well,
have
West
that.
Fifth City's Human Services Funding Strategy. A community needs statement and justification for services. Maybe, I don't know. It didn't hurt. I didn't rate them very high because it just wasn't a strong application.
Yeah, it was low of 33 and high of 39, so.
Well, and I get that it's,
38, yeah.
This is Safe Streets is existing, yes, that this program in Lakewood would be brand new.
Right.
Mhm.
But I just didn't get an idea of true understanding of what they're trying to accomplish.
I give them that.
And the funding itself, I think it was $800, I'm sorry, no, 8 hours per program.
No, it was $90,000.
Yeah, so, no, I agree, it just didn't feel like a strong application.
Okay.
That's crazy. 90,000 is crazy, that's.
Some people didn't read the instructions.
They didn't read the instructions.
Yeah.
All right, Safe Streets. Anybody else have anything to say about Safe Streets? Okay. Yes.
Shannon, I was just gonna say, I think that's a really overall good reminder about filling the void, because I think for me, a lot of these applications really missed the mark on defining what that need statement is. And so I was kind of just like in application mode of like, okay, well, what are you telling me this scope versus putting on my hat of like, I'm a member of this community. What do I know that you didn't state that you're doing in this application that's happening? So I think that's helpful for me to also think through for some of these maybe gaps of being a lower score, like for Boys and Girls Club, but knowing that they do really, really astounding work. So thank you for that reminder.
So maybe that's what y'all do, being that we're not really coming up with an ultimate score today, but if you want to go back through your applications, look at your ratings, look for the void, you know?
Well, the other thing that I would like, is if we could have the list broken out by emphasis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that would also help us to, you know, if we do have to say, we're only going to fund 60% of these,
Yeah.
we can at least see that we are trying to attend to the different needs of the city.
Okay.
And its residents
I
also.
like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, all right. can do all these.
I would also find it helpful to still see those averages because there's very possibility of like, even maybe if I did a lower score and the average is a little bit higher, that I'd be fine with that average.
We kind of.
Okay.
We did, yeah.
Okay, all right, all right, let's go on to, so we're skipping St. Leo STEP. They applied last year as well. STEP has, let's see, low of 31. Come on. Low of 31 and a high of 45.
Well, last year, I rated them very low because I was looking at the salaries, I went and looked at the salaries of the young airmen that were, you know, what they're getting today and all that kind of thing. I couldn't understand why there was a need this year. I think they do a better job at
Okay.
writing it. And I saw something this year I didn't see last year.
Anyone else want to comment on STEP?
They did not by any means get a high rating for me. It was, I think it was higher than last year, like you, Michael. But one of the things that their outcomes seemed really significant. You know, in terms of repeat, they didn't have a lot of repeats and the impact that they make for those families. It was, you know, kind of an emergency situation comes up, they address it, and then they move along, so.
And you know, we don't really see. Until we go to Stilicho and we see, you know, some of the housing out there and some of these GIs with families are living in. Lean-tos for crying out loud.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see, so STEP, now we're gonna move down to, we have two more, teamwork. With a low of 24 and a high of 45. Anyone comment on teamwork?
I will.
Go ahead, Darren, what?
Now that I'm back, sorry I left you guys for a while. Having some Wi-Fi issues, but you know, this sounds like a school club, which is great. I'm all into, you know, finding those kids that maybe don't fit in. But you know, once again, numbers, it's $250 per student that they serve in this program. It's a new program, looks like it's not existing. It looks like it's, or at least their application's new. I rated them pretty low. Just because I think that, you know, I don't know how much skin they have in the game. You know, I've been involved in ASB for, you know, many years. And normally we have to fundraise to start a club and get a certain number of kids involved to start a club. So I'm just not sure they've done some of that background work, and I could be wrong, but it sounds like a gaming club, which is nice for kids. But you know, when I did the math on the budget, is $14,000 just for the staff expenses, which sounds to me a little high, but you know, maybe I'm wrong. I just didn't see it as one of the highest rated applications for me.
Okay. Thank you, Darren. Yeah. Okay.
I
All right,
think-
go ahead, sorry, Shelby.
I was just gonna say it was a little bit more middle of the pack for me. I didn't rate it as low as some others. And I think to your point, Darren, I think for me it was the familiarity with the community partners that made me think of it as more than just something like ASB, to like the backing of like Kids Mental Health Pierce County, being familiar with that program. I think it's new, but it's a little bit beyond kind of that, with having the community partner aspect. So that's why it was a little higher for me.
Thank you. Last, we have the rescue mission with let's see. Low of 35, high of 45. Anyone want to comment on the rescue mission?
I appreciated that, their adult-specific shelters have low barrier to access. Whereas in the family shelter, there are protections in place for the families. That feels smart. It also feels accessible for people who are maybe not ready to give up on certain substances or have mental health issues or, that sort of thing. So I did appreciate that.
Anyone online? Tacoma Rescue Mission?
Oh, I'm a rescue.
Yeah, wait, Mike.
Okay, I'll stop.
Yes. For the rescue mission, Rufara?
I'm a Bellarmine student, like I said, and we do spend a lot of time volunteering for Tacoma Rescue Mission. I think the work they do there is really, really great. I remember we took I think an entire school day to go serve lunch there. It's very forward facing, which I really enjoy. And I think the work they do there is really great. And I hope that they get the chance to support me.
It's interesting. You have to keep in mind, personal experience with the organization doesn't necessarily mirror itself in the way that they wrote the application. So all we have to go on is this, if we don't have any contact with it.
I once again doing the math. They're asking for $15,000, serving 250 clients, $60 a client. I think that's a pretty cheap, lot of money to help some of our families out there that this is their safety net. Without this, they're on the street. And the fact that they can stay there for up to 30 days and then go up to 90 days if they get into case management. These are the families that might get hooked up into LASA and some of the other programs that we have within our community that help those people that have no other place to go. So I'm a strong supporter of this. I worked at Harborview in the emergency room and I saw what the missions do in Seattle, and it's pretty incredible, including the help they give to veterans.
Okay. That was our last discussion point on applications. You want to take us to the next steps, Kyle?
Well, I think at this point, due to it was probably my error, I'm gonna call it out.
That's all right.
That said, it sounds like we do need to schedule another meeting, just go over the remaining applications. At that meeting, Shannon's already agreed to break each of these up by emphasis and impact, so that we can also kind of rank that way if we feel the need to.
And you have it the way it was broken down last time, right?
Yes.
The amounts of money for whatever scores.
Mhm.
We can use that as a basis.
Yep. Yep.
Kyle,
Yeah.
I think it'd be useful for me. Averages really don't work because, in my personal opinion, because we have scores that go way down and we have scores that are very high and we have everything in between. To me, an average is not helping. I've been writing down the scores as I've been listening to look at, see, where we are as a group and who's rating high. If there's 4 of us that are rating high and a couple of us that are rating kind of low, I think that has some impact. It means that 4 of us are pretty much in line with each other. I don't think the average is really going to work. We're going to get the same average for almost every group. There's going to be, maybe here and there's going to be a few that average high or low. But I think what's going to happen mathematically is we're going to end up with very, very small range of scores, average scores when we get done with this. And so it's not going to be very useful to use an average score. In math, we'd call this using the mode, the most common score to try and figure out, or at least if it's a 45 and a 44, those are pretty close in scoring. But it would be helpful for me to see the scores, not based on name, but just the scores. Like what did all the rest of the committee members put down? And then I'm thinking, okay, well, if I scored an application low and all of the rest of you scored it high, I'm backing down. I'm going to say, well, maybe I missed something. But if it would be helpful for me to see those scores, Shannon, once we have them all compiled.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you guys agree?
In the past, there's not been a large number difference between.
It's shockingly
averages.
close.
Yeah, it's surprisingly close, no question about it.
So what I'll do, Darren, is, yeah, I will go ahead and complete the ratings page with the average. And then I will distribute that to everybody.
Shannon,
I think asking questions for the, not the average, but for the, what were the 6 scores or what were the 5 scores?
For each
He's asking for the.
Yeah.
So
That's
essentially.
not the average, he's asking for the number.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Essentially,
That's what I'm
right.
saying. I will complete this one sheet with everybody's scores. But we will have an average score for those who want to see it all the way to the right, okay? But you will be able to see what everybody else scored, individual scores along with it.
because just the one we looked at, the STEP program, the range of
Yes.
scores was 31 to 45. I'm 31 on that scale. My wife's a veteran, so that was pretty tough for me to put a 31 when it was one of the lowest scores I put on an application. But if everybody else is scoring in the 40s, I'm gonna say, well, you know what, I missed something, and let's fund them at the level we decide to fund them at. So that's why it's helpful for me, not just having the average, but also the numbers.
Sure, sure. So what I will deliver to all of you tomorrow, so we can just move this along, is I will complete this sheet that we've all been working off of with our scores and filling it in. And then I will also, I'm going to go ahead and provide you guys with the broken down into our 5 priority categories. I'll provide you with that as well.
And maybe rather than promising, like. You, wait until you get Shelby's in my,
Yes, oh, that's true, okay.
so.
So it's gonna
maybe
be about a week out, so I will,
By, Shelby, can you commit to, by the end of the week, providing Shannon with your additional
Okay.
scores?
Most definitely, yeah. I was gonna prioritize it tomorrow evening after work.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
you-
maybe,
so if you guys by tonight, definitely or tomorrow morning. Send me the list of applications you do not have, so I can get those to you
Yes.
right away early in the
Yep.
day.
yeah.
Right. I think there were a couple of other people that were missing, like 1 or here or there too, so.
I think Denise, but, so, just so I'm, so Gregory, you are missing, so, yeah, so if everybody here can email me the application you were missing, and then also, like I said, your questions for, what you have for those applications you've already rated, so I wanna start putting those together.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, once I have those, or once I get those out, I'll get those out to you. And then I'll follow up on Friday, latest on Monday, depending on when you guys get me your ratings with the completed ratings sheet. And then also, our applicants broken down into our 5 priority categories.
Perfect.
Okay.
That sounds great.
And so
Yes, sir.
I have a question for the committee because I'm new. Is our goal to kind of maximize the number of people that we impact with the limited amount of resources that we have, that the city can provide for these programs? Or is there some other criteria that I'm missing? Because when I look at this, I do a lot of math. I'm doing calculations with my phone, trying to figure out, how much is this costing per client, that sort of thing. Because to me, that means that we can, with the limited risk, it's actually a lot of money the city's providing, but I mean, with the limited resources we have, because there's a limit, are we trying to maximize the number of people or the number of individuals that we can impact with this, or the city can impact with this money? If that's the goal, then that makes sense to me. But if there's another goal I need to know, because I'm new and I've never gone through this process before, then that's my question. Are there other criteria that we're using? Because for me, that was a big part of me scoring these applications.
The thing was, whether or not program would go away if they didn't get any funding.
Right.
Well, and we should balance out against the priorities so that we weren't leaving
Right.
out
Right,
one.
so we weren't giving all the money to food,
Right.
you know, so it's broken up into categories. And the most deserving in the categories based on how we rate them. I mean,
I think, a while, before I came on board and took this position, you also, and these two, you two can. There was, you guys had determined a percentage, but I thought you were gonna give to each,
right, we did that.
each category,
Right.
yeah,
Oh, to each category?
yeah,
I don't think we did that to each category.
no,
No.
okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh, I like that though, for each category, so it's kind of balanced.
I think there has always been an intent to make sure that there was some funding provided in each category, even if it wasn't prescribed as a formula from the beginning, to be able to go and do that. There was there's always been a focus for organizations that are more regional than just here to make sure that we could see the impact within the city. As a, in other words, being able to go and do that rather than were we just contributing to something that is just out there in the cloud, you know. To go on. But I also think it has changed a little each year as the committee has had some changes in its membership and it has looked at things and or as new applicants have provided insight as to again, the filling a void discussion to be able to go and do that. I think while there maybe is some history, there's also your impact into this year's discussion that they can influence that.
But just to let you know, I mean, Lori and I have been doing this for years, and the way it's done right now, I think we're very comfortable that we're getting the best bang out of the buck and we're giving it to the people who need it the most. And then once we get into the discussions, I think you'll get you'll feel a little bit better on how it's done.
And I'll speak to that because, as a person who receives, you know, the quarterly, reimbursement requests, which also include how many people they've served and how close they are to their goals and outcomes that they agree upon in, their contracts. Back to, you know, what Michael said is, I've had very few in the 3 years I've been doing it, miss their goal. Many exceed their goals and outcomes. So I agree, we are giving money to organizations that do better our community. That's been my experience. But I'd like to say here, and I'm, you know, getting back here, the number of people that we are concerned with giving money, getting the bigger bang for our buck for the number of people served. I think being careful there because it gets back to the point that Denise said, whereas you have somebody like Oasis Youth Center who's we're not really, you know, comparing apples to oranges when we say making a difference in Oasis Youth Center. You've got Oasis Youth Center that's, like you pointed out earlier, 30 people they're serving at a cost of 800 and something per. Again, those services cost much more to provide than the food, so,
But like Mike said, the dentist, you know, Lindquist.
yeah.
I mean, that's expensive, but of course, you're paying dentists.
Yeah, and some organizations have a lot of volunteer manpower. You know, and the Eloise Cooking Pot is an example of that.
Oh, yeah.
They have a lot of folks to be able to go and do that, and it sort of gets reflected into their budget. Others are much more utilizing people with expertise and that they have to pay for it and it goes on and on. I guess that I would say that, well, the committee has sort of shaped things and occasionally has even changed what the sub areas were in terms of going to do that. In the past dozen years, okay, I can think of only 3 instances of where the city council made a change to the recommendation that were here. One was, and the only one that was really significant, okay, you know, the most significant change of that was when the Boys and Girls Club was first being built, in their previous building over there, the council at that time went and took $100,000 of the money that was in the 1% pot and said, we're gonna give it to the Boys and Girls Club without them even having to submit an application. But that occurred a long time ago, okay, and the next year, the council kind of acknowledged that they erred in doing that. And it has gone on, and very reliant, on what I would say is that although we're not distributing it this year, is evidenced by the fact that they're gonna let this group make the recommendations around the opioid money when we figure out what in the opioid world is impactful and can be influenced. I mean, there are a lot of things in the opioid where you can throw a lot of money at and it won't make a bit of difference.
Yeah.
But that's for another year when we sort of got a good handle on that to be able to
Yeah.
that a separate application process. So I would tell you to you don't necessarily have to be focused on conforming to what we've done in the past. The input has always been well received in this group and influence how things have happened.
So before we leave, I want to talk about maybe calling another meeting before our interviews on the 8th and the 9th.
That essentially gives us a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do we want to just look at next Wednesday?
I'm available next Wednesday.
I am not,
No,
but
I've got your scores. I've got your scores. I got Michael's scores. I have Darren's scores. But let's talk about what we would discuss during that meeting. We would obviously have everybody would have the scores prior to that. So what would we discuss during that meeting prior to going, that will help us?
Well, realistically, I mean, since we do the interviews on the 8th and 9th. We don't need to determine how we are funding until the 16th.
Correct.
On the 16th.
Correct.
So technically, if we were to score everything and send it to you, it would just be having a little bit of pre-discussion when really our opinions could change
After the interviews.
So we have to 16, and then when do we have to go to city council?
November 12th.
12th.
Okay, so we could have a couple of meetings before that to actually come up with, the proper distribution.
Yeah.
So is it, realistically, we don't need to meet next week.
Right.
We could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about, there's gonna be a lot to discuss, so how about if we do a 2-hour meeting on the 16th of October rather than just 1 hour?
Sure.
Or as long as it takes,
That's fine.
as long as it takes, okay.
I think as long as it takes. I am going to be traveling on the 8th. Is it possible to record interviews on the 8th so
Yeah.
I can at least see the answers?
Yeah, I'll record them.
Okay, perfect. That will be super helpful, but I will be there for the 9th.
So that's-
Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right, well, it sounds like we have a plan for the next couple of weeks here. And so that's next steps. Is there anything else for the good of the order? Okay, well then I think with that, we will adjourn for now and we'll.
And I'll just tell you that I'm gonna be out of the country from the 7th to the 20th, so I'm gonna leave you all to your own devices.
Where are you going?
Watch out.
Yeah.
I have to go take care of some family business
Oh.
for my sister-in-law in Korea.
Oh, short time to be making that long flight.
Do you want these?
Wow.
Those are my score.
Oh, yeah, yes, I need to scan those in. Okay,
Well, then I think that adjourns us.
that adjourns us. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thank you,
two.
everyone.
All right, Darren, safe travels home
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Viva Las
The
Vegas.
truth is, I
Bye.
didn't read your email until I got here to